Well guys, welcome back to another one of these building Whiteburg City. In today's episode, I wish to build for you, first of all, a passenger ferry, secondly, the embankment leading up a bit further than it already is, and also perhaps accidentally building a bridge, so stick around to see how that goes. Anyway, first of all, what you're seeing now on screen is me constructing the superstructure for the passenger ferry pier. Now this is based on the old Royal Pier in Southampton, which opened in 1833 and was used by Queen Victoria several times during her reign. Now I've loosely, like I said, based this on that. It's got a nice little pagoda section in the centre where people can sit and wait for their travel. Now I envisioned a couple of big steamers here along with some smaller ships located around it, so I think I've built it just about the right size for that. But I wasn't able to actually finish it off myself, so I employed the help of Onion Ring Sasquatch to come on and add some details around the place to give it a nice feel of life. And that is something that happens throughout this video. So there's going to be bits and bobs where we're jumping around and I'm building bits. I also get some help from other builders, and that's just kind of how these things go with these nice collaborative projects. Anyway, let's jump into game now and see how it looks. So this is the newest addition to Whiteburg City, and I think it really helps captivate just what a living, breathing city should look like. Now, the main crux of this video is to try and detail out the embankment as best as we can with the length we have here currently, because this looks good, this looks great, but now this area is looking very plain and boring and empty and just devoid of life, and also devoid of actually texturing. That was I missed that. Oh dear. So eventually this carries on all the way down to here. We may even extend it just down to there today. I don't know. I think this is long enough. Let me show you what the real life embankment looked like, the one I'm using as inspiration for this. So the main thing is this embankment was built in the 1870s. You can see here these trees have been planted along it, but they aren't mature. So if my sort of telling of this story is correct, by this point in time, we're in 1912, these trees should have grown probably to, fairly high, a bit bigger. It's been 30-40 years since this was built. And you can see here again, this is kind of the street scene I want to go for. People promenading up and down, little trees with these little cages around them. I think it's time for me to paint the road, possibly extend it a little bit, get that done in the time lapse. Actually, before we jump away completely, there's one thing I want to show you in terms of copying and pasting using a brush. So what I want to do here currently is I want to take this strip of road up here to this new level. Now, there are several ways you can do it. One of the ways is just to sort of copy and paste from here. Let's say you copy there and obviously then just paste back to where you're standing, so you make sure your origin points are on the same bit, which is perfectly fine. Now another way of doing this is, now I've got a selection already made, is come down here, place one block underneath, so you've got yourself seated within inside here. Now this is a point where people will probably start screaming at me going, you don't have to do this, but this is the only way I've figured out how to do it. So anyway, you put yourself in the middle here, and what you do next is then you type / copy. And then you select a brush. So in place of a brush, I'm going to be using a netherite pickaxe here, and I'm going to go / BR for brush, or brush like that, clipboard. And now what I'm going to do is type the sort of suffix -A, and that means minus air, so it no longer pastes with any air, so it's not doing any damage to existing blocks. Without pressing space or anything, I'm also going to type the letter O, which means ignore the origin point and paste where you're looking. That will make more sense when I show you what it does. So then you press enter, and it's now equipped this brush onto this thing, and we can now right click and go along to our heart's content, if my world catches up, and paste in an entire line of road. So you can come here and go on your little corners like that, bits where it changes, and this is a really handy little tool to use when you're building stuff that isn't quite straight. So allow me to get this road in and carry this wall on a little bit, so we've got a nice length of promenade to really set this place off nicely. Right, let me get going with that. Right, well, as the main structure's going up over there on the road, we'll take a look at that later. I wanted to come down here and sort out the river once and for all. I don't think it's going to be once and for all. at all, because the other side of the river currently is an absolute state, but who cares. What I wanted to show you guys is just how I do my landscaping. By landscaping I mean the very basic sort of loose sense of the word. So the way I do my sloped riverbanks like this is by using a mask on top of a brush. So let me show you how I set up a brush. So the command I'm going to type on this brush here, we just set up a clipboard brush a minute ago. So this is BR sphere, so I've just typed the shorthands there, so brush, and we're going to go for a sphere. I'm going to use the block red. Now red in word edit sense is just the colour red, like red wool. So that's another little shorthand there. And then we have 20, which is the radius of this sphere. Now what this is going to give you is a 20 by 20 sphere, which once the server loads up, there we go, you can see that's not really the best way to get nice little flat rising landscapes like we've got there. No, so the next command you need to know is a mask for it's a mask to cut off the top of the sphere at a certain Y value. So first of all, what you want to go do is ascertain the Y value of the let's say the floor below where you want to place your layers. So for me here, my Y value is on this one here, 47. So what I need to type here is mask, slash mask, and then we're going to do equals Y. Then we're going to use the less than command, which means everything below this value we're going to type in becomes red for a 20 block radius. So because this is 47, I'm currently standing on 48. What I want to type in is 49. So what you're going to see now is a cylinder being produced at level 49. Now there are other ways of doing this, and you can actually just use the cylinder command, but the reason I've gone for sphere, this is actually like stackable, so you can go, okay, well I want to go up to the next layer now, so 50, and you can do that, and you're ended up doing your 50 blocks, so you're up there on that second layer, and this just allows you to kind of poodle along, adding in little layers upon layers of bits of landscape. Now the reason I've taken it just down to here is because this river is not planned out properly yet. Let me show you. So what we've got going on here is the road carrying on, it's not very hard to see, oh there we go, the road carrying on down to where my cursor is here. Now the river carries on all the way up here towards Linford upon Avon. And between me and Goblin we're still trying to discuss sort of ideas as to how the river goes. Now my main thinking for the river is for it to carry on down, well it's going to come out of Colebrook, come down through Linford upon Avon, which is either there or here. It's spread across several islands. Then it's going to sort of either merge around each side of Linford and come down just here and swing on round where the embankment is and opens up into a very large estuary. So the embankment's going to carry on round and then take a sharp turn and probably just line the rest of this bank here. This will be widened, this area will go. And there will be a bridge at a diagonal at some point across here. I'm thinking possibly where I drew this dirt bridge in many moons ago. You can see the topography around here is fairly flat, which is quite nice. So we're going to have to do some raised sections to get this bridge across. And what we will actually add in a moment is a diagonal road connected in there to here, which will run up along edge there. Park that side, buildings that side. Right, okay, I'm going to jump back into game, carry on the landscaping. You're going to find me once we've got this section done. Right, so I've got this far into building the rest of the embankment. Again, I say rest. And now my mind is already full of other ideas for how I should probably carry on this as a bridge. Now, I know a minute ago we mentioned bridges, and I said I was going to build one further up the line there, but this just seems quite appropriate here. So I've been looking at a couple of London bridges. Let me show you. So here we have the Albert Bridge, which is located in central London-ish. Where's north? Which is located near Westminster. Oh, it's in Chelsea. That's fine. So we've got the Albert Bridge here, and this kind of has what I want from it. So you've got the road that comes directly across, almost at a diagonal. Then the bridge straightens up, goes across the river at the shortest point. But we've also have the embankment, the Chelsea embankment, going underneath it. And now this is kind of what I've envisioned for this bridge idea going across here. Ooh, it's a nice little building. So I'm going to take the inspiration, I believe, from here, as in the way it's set up. But the bridge itself is not really that ornate. I don't know. It's not really that captivating. It's a nice suspension bridge, and I may end up building it. But my mind and my heart is currently set on one slightly further down the line, the Hammersmith Bridge. Now, this one is beautiful. Look at it, it's covered in green copper, really quite ornate and detailed, and it just has a nice feel about it. Again, it's a similar size to the Albert Bridge, only two tracks of traffic going along it, and I probably will build it the same way. Just one, because the road that we're going to be building across it isn't going to be the most busiest road in and out of Whiteburg, and two, I think it just suits it better. It's got that nice slenderness to it, and yeah, so traffic back then also wasn't as busy as traffic is now, because cars weren't really that widespread. So that's where we've derailed this mission off to. I'm good at doing that, aren't I? Just going along and going, right, we're going to put some trees down. Oh wait, no, we're going to build this little park here. Oh wait, no, we're going to build the rest of this road. Oh wait, let's build a bridge. But I think it'll be worth it. I really, really do. So it's going to carry on from here. This road, make it a bit wider, and it's then going to go turn in and go straight over there. I will probably widen this junction bit here, but I think it will carry on across this bit. And we have the height clearance here and here to allow, people to carry on walking underneath it. So that's my plan, and I probably will jump into a time-lapse for that in a bit. Now, on other news, sad news, yesterday, at the time of recording this video, Queen Elizabeth II passed away. And while our server is not set in the modern day, we felt as a team it'd be quite nice to put a little memorial somewhere for her, just to, commemorate her 70 years on the throne and 96 years of existence. So what I was thinking of doing is, instead of naming this just the Embankment, myself and Goblin suggested it as well, that we should name it the Elizabeth Embankment, and I think that would be very nice, a good fitting tribute for her. And in doing so, this would become the Elizabeth Gardens here, and possibly even the Elizabeth Bridge. So yeah, this area will be known as Elizabeth. I think that's okay. There's a place in London known as Victoria, so that definitely fits the bill. Now, what I was thinking of doing is adding a small little bust, a little statue, directly opposite this building here, and overlooking over that way. Now, for this one, I have an idea of which one we can recycle. So there's a lovely little bust here to Her Majesty Queen Vic. Ah, yes. So it is just me. Don't look up. There is something in the sky. I wasn't going to show it yet. I kind of forgot it was here. We'll look at it in a different video. So I think I'll just take this one here and somehow work it into that other place. Right, while it's not the best monument, and I imagine most of you are thinking, hey, why don't you just build Buckingham Palace to show your sign of respect? We could have done. Buckingham Palace just wasn't her favourite residence, and it's also been done to death. Not to say death, no. And I think we've got better plans for the Royal Palace here in Whiteburg. No, we will do a more fitting tribute of another royal residence, and I believe that myself and Goblin are in talks with what to do for that. But for now, this seems like a nice little fitting gesture. Ignore the beard. Future Kieran here. I felt that the using of my head on this statue wasn't really the most appropriate way to honour the late Queen. So I went through skulls and found a better Queen's head. And I just think that looks much better. So anyway, I will join you again in the past. Right then, on to the bridge building. So I want to start off by just clearing some of the landscape and the river, getting ready for things to come in, and this is going to be an absolutely gigantic project. Now I won't be able to show you all of it, lots of the landscaping kind of just happened over several days, so we'll get onto that later on. You'll see the finishing touches of that, but what you're seeing right now is me putting in that road layout as we spoke about earlier from the real life example of the Albert Bridge. I wanted to have it as a junction that came across over the level of the embankment. Now while I'm doing this, I'm just setting up the rest of the embankment around there, split level. Goblin started building up the bridge. Now this bridge is based on the Hammersmith Bridge, though we've changed the colours to a lovely mangrove wood with some granite and birch put in there as well. So with that in place, the final style is ready, and it's now time to start on the building itself. Coming down here, we're adding in the big counterweights and the cables that go up to the bridge pylons. Now this bridge features a lovely walkway along either side which takes pedestrians to and from, because the bridge itself is only two lanes wide, so it's not that big. so to be able to walk along it, you can go down the pedestrian side. Now, as I said, a lot of the landscaping here had to be done to be able to make this bridge work, and I will show you around that in a second. But landscaping in a time lapse for a PC of my stature really isn't something I can do very well, so I can't film it as I go, and you'll see the final product instead. Now, this was just a way of making sure I was able to get the correct shape and style in for those bridge cables, because they were very hard to do indeed, but a great, real fun project to take on. So guys, after this is done, we're going to jump into seeing how that landscaping turned out and the final area as it is, so stick around for that. So what you're seeing here is everything I wanted to do for the landscaping, although it's still in its red and blue fashion. Now it's time to paint on the gradient and see how this riverbed actually looks. And here we are in the future, sometime later. I'm not going to disclose how many hours it's been, possibly 10. And here we are with the finished product. Everything's in, the trees are in, the landscape has been fashioned with a beautiful texture and gradient across it. I've even gone across and put in a nice brushing of bits of grass, ferns, dead bushes, all manner of things lying across the place, and it really does give this area a completely different feel to what we were looking at moments ago with the garish colours, and that is why it's a good idea to use those placeholders to be able to build with, but before you start putting the texture on, because once you start painting, oh boy, you end up with a beautiful structure. So the bridge, the Elizabeth Bridge, is finally in and done, and I've even gone through and added in a few vehicles. All manner of vehicles along here have been built by a selection of people on the server, including Kazakh, I believe Aussie's built some, Ungering Sasquatch, maybe even Loading has built a few of these as well, and I have placed them along here just to give it a bit of life, along with these nice, really large overhang lampposts, which were built by Limbo. They're from Brezhnev, and I found them over in our workshop earlier on. So all that's left for me to do really on the construction side of this is the rest of the embankment along that way, although that is for a future episode, as we've discussed. This episode has really run away with itself. I have no idea where we're ending it. But what I need to do next is bring in the water. The water needs to flood this place. And then the final touches will be adding a few little bits of debris, some leaves, and a bit of seaweed, I guess, or river stuff, algae, little leaves just along the edges of these areas. But I really like the way this works as a causeway. Over here will be a different town. Let me show you a map. This is the Walhamptonshire Master Plan 2022 to 2025. Yes, I know, I've gone insane. This is a map showing everything I want to build over the next 3 to 4 years across the entire county. So we've got up here, Whiteburg City is what we're mainly interested in. So today in this video, I've been building for you guys this section here and this road that comes across here. So yes, I have already planned this in my massive master plan. So the idea is this landscape needs to be updated. I haven't finished that bit there now. Anyway, so what happens on this other bank of the river we've just been looking at is a town known as Overstoke, or Ulverstoke is built here in about 2024, 2025. So we've got a while before we come back and build that one. You can see these red lines are the railway, so there's quite a lot of railway activity around here. So it's going to be quite industrialised, but the buildings themselves will be quite nice, big, Regency buildings, as this would be a almost resort type place, and it blends itself down here into the town of Brookley, well, the village of Brookley. This area is, as I mentioned before, quite foresty. It's still quite rural as compared to the built up city. So with that in mind, I have just left this area as is for now, just with the trees everywhere. The road will eventually come down here and there'll be a nice big crescent there. Future plans are always good to have, as long as they're stuck to. Right. Without further ado, let me get the water back in and I'll show you guys around what's been built today. Right, we are then. So, gazing down here across the beautiful bridge, the Elizabeth Bridge, standing here on Victoria Walk, part of the Elizabeth Embankment. So we're not going to do a full tour on this video, no, I'm going to save that for a separate video, just so you guys get a clear picture of what's been built and the details used behind it. But for a quick whistle-stop tour, let's talk about the embankment. So we started off today's video down here, trying to figure out how to lay the trees down and sort out the rest of it. I mean, even in the beginning, we had this place built, which was a very quick thing to do. I believe it turned out very nicely indeed. Then I added some trees down here, and the park was expanded by Sir Lancelot during all of that. With Goblin coming over to help me, we were able to carry on the bridge down here. I probably should put bollards on this side as well. I was doing that last night and it got to about 11:30 and I went, I might carry that on tomorrow, and I forgot, so oh well. And then Goblin came on, helped out with the bridge. Well, he started the bridge, did the towers. I came in, gave him a hand with the actual shape of it, and then we've gone over into the south. We've conquered part of this land now, and we've brought it into the fold. And I've got to say, I'm very happy, very, very happy with this road and the way that you sort of, I don't know, promenade down it, like glide down it. And you can stand here, these little retaining wall structure bits, and look out either side at some water. These would be nice little areas. I think eventually I'll put some little boats in here, maybe a little pier coming off, little rowing boats and that. Same with this side. But like I said, there'll be some nice big Regency style buildings behind there soon enough. And by soon enough, I mean 2025. Well guys, thank you all for watching. Next time we'll carry on building some more parts of Whiteburg City. I do hope about getting down that way towards the Royal Palace, or even moving that large building that we can't see just yet behind this one over to its rightful place on the Strand. Lots to see and do, so guys, remember, get inspired, get building. Make sure you check out the rest of the episodes in this series if you haven't already. The thing will be on the end screen in a moment, and I will see you next time for another episode of this. Subscribe, please. And until next time, goodbye.